Welcome back to Lift City. My name is Jacob Odell, and today we're going to be going over the proper steps and methods on how to squat the correct way. We'll be going over the barbell squat, which will consist of hand placement, bar placement, feet placement, and depth. Starting with our feet placement, there are three ways that we can set up: either narrow, shoulder width, or wide. Here you can see the difference between all of them in correlation to the actual bar. For narrow grip, we want to have our feet inside of the knurling. And for those of you who don't understand what the knurling is yet, the knurling is the cross pattern part of the bar. For shoulder width, it's exactly how it sounds. We want to be shoulder width apart with our feet. And this can actually be looked at as your feet lining up with the knurling and the smooth part of the bar, right in the middle of your foot. For a wide stance, this would be anything past the smooth part of the bar, where your entire foot is on the knurling. Now that you have your foot placement down, you need to understand your toe placement. Yes, your toes. And there's two types of way of doing this, either closed or open. And a closed toe would be your feet just being parallel with one another, and open would be when they're angled outwards. Most people squat with open toes because they don't have that well of ankle mobility. However, if you do have good ankle mobility or are trying to increase your ankle mobility, then you should be squatting parallel with your feet. For your hand placement, it really doesn't matter. You can do whatever you would like with your hands across the bar. As seen here, there are different positions that you can do: a narrow, a shoulder width, or a wide. You also have a super wide, which is where your arms are almost all the way across the bar. However, the closer you have your hands to your body, therefore the most narrow part, is going to be the most effective because you'll be able to hold the bar down onto your traps the best with the most force given. As for the bar placement, you want to allow your bar to go in between your scap and your traps. And you'll feel this if you put yourself underneath the bar and you move your shoulders around into the groove, and you'll feel a little gap, and that's where you want to put it. This area would be considered a high bar position. However, there is a low bar position which sits directly on top of your scapulas. Once you have the bar on your back, you want to pull the bar into your body. So you want to force the bar into your traps. And what this will do will create a better force against your body while pushing up out of your squat depth. Now this one is a little less talked about, yet it is one of the most important parts of your squat, and it's breathing. And when it comes to breathing, what we really want to do is take a big deep breath right before we're about to lift, and then tighten our abs. And what this is going to allow us to do is to tighten all the stabilizing muscles inside of our abdominal area and our lower back. But the only way to activate the lower back area is to force our hips in a backwards motion where our lower back is now flexed. So while we do that, we also have our abs flexed and our lower back, which provides the most stability. Yes, you could use a weightlifting belt, but you want to allow your stabilizers to develop and grow before you get to that advanced level. So you're all set and ready to go into your squat. The three squat positions are either above parallel, parallel, or below parallel. And what this means is just whether or not you are parallel with the ground. And as you can see here, as for above parallel, it seems pretty easy because you aren't going as low as you would be for the other positions. As for parallel, this is the most optimal and most used form of the squat. This also tends to be the most effective because it does have a significant amount of reduced stress on your knees. As for the below parallel, this has a lot more stress on your kneecaps because it is forcing us to sit back onto the ligaments and our meniscus in our knee. However, if you are a beginner, I do recommend that you go as low as possible, have the most range of motion and flexibility while performing a squat to get used to going lower than you usually are. Even for the more advanced lifters, they should be taking a step back and realizing that they actually have to fix their form to gain more mobility in their squat. Some individuals have an issue with knee buckling, and the reason for this is just because their hip stabilizers aren't built yet. So one of the things that you guys can do is to actually grab a resistance bands and put them around your kneecaps. While doing this, you want to make sure that you're pushing your knees outward in order to force those hips to become activated. While performing your lifts, you should already be pushing your knees outwards in order to have the most force pushed into the ground. This will also ensure that you do not collapse while performing a squat. And finally, one of the most important parts of the squat is having your chest high. When you go into your squat, you have weight on your back. And what this is going to have you do is to bend or lean forward. To prevent this, we want to make sure that we are keeping our chest high, our head back, and everything tight and strong. To get a better feel for this, you should practice with lower weight and work on keeping that back high and that chest high in order to push the weight up. As you can see here, someone who doesn't know how to keep a chest high will end up hurting their lower back since they are doing more of a good morning exercise. For those of you who know what that is, it will actually end up working their back more than their legs. So you're not really hitting a leg day today, man. You're hitting a back day. What can I say? And there you go. You just finished your first squat. Rack the weight and let's go. Let's put some weight on this bar. Let's get some numbers, PRs. Let's just make something happen. Let's get stronger. Thank you for joining Lift City today. My name is Jacob Odell, and build yourself up.